Hello, everyone, and welcome to the election forum of Peabody's library trustee candidates. On behalf of the Peabody Area Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to be here today. Thank you to today's moderator, Dave Olson, editor with the Salem News and board member of the Peabody Area Chamber. Thank you also to today's sponsors, the City of Peabody, the Salem News, and Peabody TV. Behind the scenes recording today. Without further ado, I will introduce our library trustee candidates. In person today, we have incumbent Richard Shruhan and candidate Patrina Vasalo. Ann Quinn and Jennifer Smith, incumbents, are also running, just could not be here with us today. I will now hand it over to Dave Olson to review the format and get us started.
Thanks, Beth. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward. We're going to give you a chance to introduce yourselves to the voters, take a couple minutes, and then we have about 6 questions, and each will have about 2 minutes to answer each question. So why don't we start with Mr. Shruhan. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself to the voters. What's your background and what inspired you to run for trustee?
Well, thank you very much. This year, January, I've been a library trustee for 12 years. So this is my 3rd time running. Right off the rail, I'm going to say I love the library. I grew up in Peabody. I lived here till I was 19. Then I joined the Army. And then I was away for the next 20 years, visiting occasionally because it's my home. And after retiring from the Army, I came back and bought the house for my parents. So on and off, I've been living here for 30 plus years. I've always loved the library. I think in traveling and living all over the country, I have some, which I won't go into, some stories about libraries I ran into in Texas, Kansas, and other places with a population of like 1,000 people. So we have a great library. George Peabody did us well. And I just love the library. I've worked with, I think I'm on my 4th library director, and I can't praise our library directors enough and the assistant library directors. We have some very well educated, hardworking people that love the library. So I'm in it for the long term. I love the library. We don't get paid for this. A lot of people are surprised we're the only public official that's elected. We do this because we love it. Matter of fact, I always joke it probably cost me about $250 a year to be a library trustee. So I like it, I love it, and I'm looking forward to doing another 6 years. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Patrina Vasalo.
My name is Patrina Vasalo. I live on Jennifer Lane with my husband, Dan, my dog, Coda. And I also grew up in Peabody, went through Peabody Public Schools. And then when it came time to figure out where Dan and I wanted to live, he didn't have much of a vote. We moved back to Peabody. I went to the libraries all through my childhood and, since then, basically, love going to the library, love finding out all the different things the library has to offer. I think sometimes people think it's just a place where you go and you get books and it's very quiet, and that is so far from the truth. There's just so many programs, something for everyone, and I decided this time around that I wanted to jump in and really see it from the other side, see it as a trustee. So that's why I'm running.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Beth, I believe Ann Quinn had a statement that we can read on her behalf.
Yes, thank you, Dave. So on behalf of Ann Quinn, here's her statement. I'm running for my 3rd term as a trustee of the Peabody Institute Library because I want to be involved with preserving the legacy of George Peabody and bringing his life and good works to the attention of the citizens of Peabody. He has been recognized by the Philanthropy Roundtable as one of only 54 Americans who, quote, changed the nation and the world, end quote, by their charitable donations. But unlike his fellow philanthropists, Carnegie, Eastman, Mellon, Morgan, Rockefeller, George left no family to carry on his name and good works. This responsibility falls to the trustees of the various institutions that he endowed. Our own library was founded in 1852 on a gift from George Peabody of $20,000 as an institute intended for the education of the citizenry of Peabody. Today, our library has an annual budget of almost $2 million. But what does that mean to individual citizens? Since the beginning of the pandemic shutdown, the library, one, added over 14,000 items to the collection, two, issued over 900 new library cards, and three, circulated over 87,000 items. And the website had almost 20 million views. For every one tax dollar spent on the library, its services to the community offer $4.13 in return value. That's a 413% return on investment to our community. What's not to love about our library? During this difficult time, our staff has done a yeoman's job reconfiguring services to minimize disruption to patrons. They established the online ordering service with easy pickup and a self-service checkout system called MeScan that makes using library materials easier than ever. November will see several major announcements about library policies. In the future, we'll see even more developments to enhance resources and services to our community. George Peabody believed that, quote, education is a debt due from present to future generations, end quote. I ask for your vote on November 2nd so I can continue to promote this idea. Thank you. Again, from Ann Quinn.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, our first question, and we'll start with Katrina. I think a lot of people don't really understand what the role of library trustee is. So maybe you could share with us, what do you see as the role of a library trustee?
Well, I see the role of the library trustee as somebody who supports the mission of the library, somebody who advocates for the library, and somebody who is there to support the director and the assistant director. And as Richard said in his introduction, they are fabulous people. They know what they're doing. They're extremely smart people. And so in my view, the trustees are there to kind of support them and, give them feedback on what they're doing with the library and with the policies. As Ann's statement indicated, the trustees are involved with policy decisions as well. And so for me, the library trustee is kind of there as a board of supporters for the library in that way.
Great, thank you. Same question to you, Mr. Schuin.
Yes, that was very nice, Katrina. I agree with all of that. I like to say when people ask me that question, think of the school committee. We are basically the school committee for the library, and people seem to be able to relate that in our legal obligation. The library director works for us, but we also, as she said, supports, and we're the biggest cheerleaders for the library. Thank you.
Great. Now, Mr. Schuhan, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing libraries right now, especially the Peabody Institute Library?
Well, the biggest challenge we had last year, and the mayor and the ward committee and city councilors saved us, thank God, was budget. Unfortunately, if we do not meet a certain guideline or level for budget, we lose accreditation with Massachusetts. And once you lose accreditation, then you can't borrow materials from other libraries. You don't get grants from Massachusetts. So we were close, but Mayor Betancourt and the city council stepped up, and they were able to fund us to a level where we didn't lose accreditation. So the biggest challenge always for us is to make sure that we have the budget to supply, and like Ann said, and to be honest, I didn't know that we were getting 400% back for every dollar they gave us, that we need that. And it's huge money the state gives us. If we lose accreditation, it's like a double hit. We lost budget and then we lose the grant. So budget is number one. Great. In my mind, anyway.
Thank you. Katrina.
I agree with that. The budget is certainly one of the things that piqued my interest when I decided to run for library trustee. I was aware of the budget issue last year, and that's concerning. It's concerning if we're not going to fund one of our city's greatest resources, essentially. So that's definitely an issue. And then I think the other issue that libraries sometimes face is just getting the message out there that they have these things, they have these resources, these programs, they have things for every community member. It's not just for, a place for kids to go after school. It's not just a place for, somebody to just sit on a computer. It's a community asset, and we should really be working to preserve that and to make sure it's available for all people, for all generations.
Great, thank you. Patrina, how do you think the library handled the COVID-19 pandemic? I know it was a challenge for a lot of pretty much all across city government, but like you just said, the library is a gathering center for a lot of people. How do you think the library handled that, and what do you think the lessons could be drawn from how the library worked with it?
I thought they handled it incredibly well. I saw them pivot from a place where people physically went to get books and resources and materials to a place that was providing those for people that were at home. I think that the me-scan that was mentioned in Anne's introduction note, that was incredible. I used it a couple of times myself. You just honestly just went online, got your books on hold, went to the library, grabbed them, scanned them yourself, and you were in and out within a few minutes. And also they put a lot of their programming online. They made sure people knew that these things are available. They recently attended one of the concert series, and we're getting to a point where we can start having in-person events again. However, weather was a factor this time around, and so they immediately just sent out an email saying it's going to be online tonight. And so that's how they're taking some of those things that they've already perfected during the pandemic and applying them moving forward. They were able to just very quickly say, here's a Zoom link, we're going to do this online instead. And it was a beautiful concert nonetheless.
Great, thank you. Mr. Schulen.
I'm going to parrot a lot of that. And I'm going to say also that I know for a fact that they followed all guidelines. They were sticklers for that. And I was amazed that they were able to start giving out physical books using procedures and, clearing and masks. I was really impressed with that. And also, they are so far forward thinking. I'm a big fan of digital books. I have a Kindle, I have an iPad Pro. I can't remember the last time I actually went and got a book from the library, because they have such a huge selection of digital books that if you have a library card, you just set up an account. And I think it's awesome. So they did a great job. I could not criticize them in any way.
Great. Now, you both have kind of talked about, the library being for everyone. How does the library work to meet the needs of all Peabody residents, regardless of income bracket? Mr. Schulen.
Okay, that is a great question, and we just resolved that a couple months ago. Kate Merlin, the director, came up with a proposal, well thought through. We do not fine people anymore. We were having a huge problem, especially with the younger people. They would get late, they would owe $10, if that. And we started seeing they wouldn't come in anymore because they owed money. So we did away with it, like a lot of large libraries, and just cleared the slate. Enrollment or loans have gone up quite a bit. I think it's a great program. Now, if somebody does take something, and I forget the timeline, if it's gone for a month or so, then we do collect if they lost it. But fines are outdated, and I agree with the director, and I voted for it. And I've seen circulation increase quite a bit. I can't give you a number offhand, but I thought it was the best thing we could do, like a lot of other libraries in the area, is not fine them for being late.
Great. Thank you. Katrina.
I agree with that. I think getting rid of the fines was huge. It's been shown that library fines have a tendency to negatively impact, people of a lower income, especially. And it does build up in patrons' minds. Well, I have this fine. I can't possibly use the library ever again because I have this fine, and it just prevents people from accessing resources. So I applaud that the library director and the board of trustees decided to vote on that and get rid of fines, because I do think that's one of the big ways that you can make it more accessible to people of all income levels and people across the community.
Great, thank you. Now, how do you plan on communicating with your constituents? This question starts with Patrina. A lot of people, don't know the role of the library trustee. Over the next 4 years, how do you keep in touch with voters, specifically on the work that the library trustees are doing?
I think primarily through social media is the way that it's starting to head. I think it can be both a gift and a curse using Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But I would say that the largest platform that I have as a person would be that social media platform. And so whether that means just sharing anything that the library is posting, they're very active on Facebook. They're very active on other social media platforms. So between sharing that and then posting my own, information about what I'm doing and what the board is doing, that's one way that I plan on making sure people are informed. And then otherwise, just talking to people, just advocating, saying, I had a cousin recently saying that he has some people that they were looking for English language classes. And I'm like, you know what? The library offers that. That's something they can find there. And so just kind of letting that kind of conversation go naturally towards, I think there's something like that at the library. Let's go check, and sort of following up. So
Great, thank you. Mr. Shuhan.
Basically, people usually come and ask me a question about the library, which I can answer. If not, the website, as like Patrina said, is full of information. Most of the time, I don't have to post anything. Occasionally, someone will email me because I am listed on the city website as a library trustee. But the library puts out so much information and so much detailed information on their schedules. I rarely have to answer a question. And if I do, or I just send them to the library website most of the time. So they're very effective at communicating.
Great, thank you. And our last question, we start with you again. What initiatives would you like to see the library undertake in the next, say, 5 years? Mr. Shuhan.
Thought you were talking to Katrina.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, I like the external programs they're doing. I'd like to see more of that when we can. And I'd like to see them go more digital in certain areas. The library books they have online right now, I don't know how many are on there, but it's pages and pages and pages. I'd like them to continue doing that, as most people are going digital, even though, like my mother, she still wants that book in her hand. So I like to see both, but I'd like to see more outgoing things they're doing. I'd like to see them start going back to the schools, which they did pre-COVID, and start doing that. We have, I think 2 of the library trustees work at the school, might be 3. So anyway, I'd just like to see more outreach when things calm down a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Katrina.
yeah, I would also love to see more outreach. As Richard said, the website is amazing. It just contains multitudes of information about what's going on at the library, but I'd love to see even more of that. I'd love to see more collaboration with groups within the city. The schools certainly, but maybe also with the chamber, maybe also with some of the other groups that our city has. I've seen in the past how successful it can be when the various groups of people in this city get together and work together. And so I really would love to see that, whether it's collaborating on certain programs or a lecture series or anything really, just getting the word out there that the library is a place for everyone. The library is a resource for the community, and taking it from there.
Thank you. And thank you both for taking the time today. So this is not a contested race on November 2nd, but we have 4 candidates who have put in the time and who obviously care about the library and are looking to serve. And you'll have the chance to weigh in on that on November 2nd. So thank you both for being here. And thank you to Peabody TV for putting this on. And we'll see you on November 2nd.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.